Hello and welcome everybody to another episode of Pod Strickland. I'm your host, Shwin and Prez. In this episode 546, I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, Prez, that is at _Presidente on Twitter. Prez, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm ready to crush some leftovers. How are you?
I'm good. I think I will be ready to crush some salads for the next couple of days. That might be a good move for myself. Um, yeah, multiple helpings of pie and ice cream. I think that put me over the top. So just gonna have to adjust accordingly here the next few days.
Forage your Shwin for the rest of the week.
Yeah, some berries, uh, wild.
Just see what's growing in upstate New York in the wilderness on the side of the road.
All right. We're not here to talk about the adjustments to my dietary habit. We're talk about the Knicks. We're going to do that. Before we get started, I do have a few announcements. First, the Strickland has a YouTube channel where you maybe watch this podcast. If you are not done so already, please hit like, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment. That'd be a huge help to us. The Strickland also has merchandise, which you can find on our website at www.strict.land. There's a link to take you to the merchandise store. There's all kinds of cool stuff on there, like t-shirts, sweatshirts, hats, coffee mugs, water bottles, you name it, we got it. The Strickland also has a Patreon, which you can subscribe to. There are a number of different tiers. $6 tier to get access to Pod Strickland's podcast that is referred to Prez. You also get access to Text from Obvious Bozos podcast hosted by Andrew Steele, aka Doug, along with Zach Blatter, and you get access to the Strickland Discord, where the conversation never stops. There are further tiers. There's a $9 tier that gets you access to Strickland Roll, the pod that I host with YC, where we brave of the Knicks even more. You also get access to wonderful premium articles by our staff, and you get access to Strictly NFL, which you guessed it, is a podcast about the NFL that is hosted by Constantine Metricos and Desmond Novak. There are further tiers. Is $15 tier, $30 tier, $50 tier, and a $100 tier. Those come with a variety of additional benefits, like listening on our pod recordings, merchandise discounts, and even potentially co-hosting a podcast alongside yours truly one day, whether you choose to subscribe. Not necessarily possible that you, and not necessarily possible without our sponsor, FanDuel. FanDuel has you covered for all your betting needs, especially over this busy holiday weekend. The Black Friday game today. You have all of the rivalry college football games on Saturday, and you have NFL Sunday. So if you feel the need to place a bet for any of that, head on over to FanDuel. Okay. So the Knicks have now won 2 in a row. They have defeated real stiff competition in the Brooklyn Nets and the Charlotte Hornets. Joking aside, and obviously, look, no disrespect to those teams, disrespect to the Nets, but obviously not the stiffest competition. But I actually have really liked how the Knicks have played these last 2 games. I think they've played with genuine force and effort defensively. I want to, in particular, give credit to Josh Hart, who prior to these last 2 games, I have been extremely annoyed by defensively for the better part of, I don't know, at least a year. I would say that these past 2 games he's played, and again, not the toughest competition, not the teams that are going to challenge you or stress you the most, but I have really, really enjoyed the fact that he is locked in a way defensively that he just hasn't been in a long time. He is staying. He at least again through. This is just 2 games. We'll see if it lasts, but he has kind of stayed true to his assignment. He is making sharp rotations. He's not stupidly losing his man because he's falling asleep and getting back cut constantly. He's his man. He's not giving up wide open threes because he's unnecessarily ducking under a screen or again just falling asleep. So I've really, really enjoyed that part of it. He's also taking threes, which Prez will talk about more, which is just as good as, I mean, maybe not as good, but that's just as valuable as the fact that he's making threes currently, which is great. So I think he's been really, really good over these last 2 games. And it's not just him, though, but in general, the team's defensive effort has completely picked up. I think they are, I mean, I thought Brunson was like really getting after it in the Charlotte game. I think Tyler Kolek, which, like, look, I have I have a lot of concerns about him in a variety of ways. Like, he's just got to look to score more. He's got to be able to hit threes, knock down threes more consistently. Um, all of that is true, but his handle is what it is. I just will continue to maintain, I've thought this since last year, I don't really buy the, like, he's this glaring defensive negative that, is gonna absolutely destroy you when he's on the floor. Obviously, he has limitations in terms of his size and strength and all those things, um, but I think defensively, I almost feel like he's pretty solid so far, when he gets minutes. Like, I just don't worry about him. If he fails, it'll be because a team can capitalize, or an opponent, a specific opponent, an individual can capitalize on the physical advantages that they have over Tyler Kolek. It's not about his inattentiveness to playing to the scheme or missing rotations or losing focus, which I think are all much bigger issues, especially for guys that you're just hoping can be cogs defensively than anything else. So I just wanted to shout him out. And yeah, just in general, I think the effort level across the board has been a lot better over these games, these last two games, than they had been in a lot of previous in the previous stretch. I mean, the Orlando game kind of speaks to itself. I think there were definitely some, hey, you're down, douche, you're down OG. Mitch is having a stinker. It's going to just be tough sledding. But these last two games have been better. And then also, look, the final piece is I talked about this basically leading into the season and certainly at the beginning of the season, that I just have not really been a believer in start Mitch next to Cat. I just don't. I don't think it makes us better over the course of 48 minutes. I think it makes the rotations a lot harder for Mike Brown. And it seems like Mike Brown, I don't know if he's reached that conclusion, but he did mention that he was planning on making a lineup change anyways prior to the Brooklyn game, which Mitch missed because of he was sick, but he was planning on making that change anyways. So good on him. Like, we have talked a lot about how Tibbs didn't really experiment ever at all. And so while there will be annoyances with the experiments that Mike Brown may choose to dive into on certain occasions, um, the benefits are that you are at least getting real sample sizes, or should hopefully will get real sample sizes of these various kinds. And yeah, I mean, look, what I will say is I've been encouraged by what the starting lineup has done in these two games. We'll see how they perform tonight against Milwaukee and in subsequent games. Um, I do think it's an interesting thing to kind of, if you're projecting forward, you know, who makes way when OG Anunoby gets back is an interesting conversation. But I wanted to say all that, and I will throw it back to you, Prez. You were on mute.
My bad. Yeah, it was we have games against the Bucks, the Raptors, and then Boston. So we have three kind of feisty teams coming up. We've played two teams that suck. And then we had the Magic, and who we played before the Magic?
Dallas, which was that was like, that's actually an example of that's an example of, like, if you play bad teams, like, there's a way to beat a bad team where it's like, you're not going to sit there and be like, what an amazing win, we're the best. But it can tell you, like, okay, this team is locked in. Oh, like, they're doing the right things. They're focused or whatever. That Dallas game was an example of, like, these guys literally thought the Mavericks would come out and just, like, roll over for them. And also combined with doing a lot of stupid shit, like missing free throws, made that a game where you were just like, this was a stupid win that actually sucked. Like, all of it sucked. And just happy we got out of there with a W and we move on with our lives.
Yeah. So I kind of like this this whole slate from Dallas through Boston for us. Not from the sense of games we should win or shouldn't win or anything like that. But like for where we are as a team, right? Like we're dealing with some injuries. Brunson's back. Obviously, Shamit, OG remain out, but Dallas, as we talked about before, is awful, but they're a very good defensive team. They're just like truly, truly mind-bogglingly bad at offense. And Orlando obviously is a good defensive team that they were just on one for multiple reasons versus us when we played them. I don't think anybody will call them a bad team. I'll call them stupid and overrated, but they're definitely not bad. And then, you have the Nets minus Cam Thomas, who go from like mind-bogglingly bad to just regular, very, very, very bad. And then Charlotte, who is bad, has a lot of like randomly interesting players, but remains bad. And then you have the three feisty teams coming up, where if you don't bring it, like you might get that work handed to you, right? Like the Bucks, obviously, you can never really count them out with Giannis and apparently Ryan Rollins. And
Well, apparently Giannis is like he's questionable. I feel very confident he's going to be playing tonight.
He's gonna play. Let's be for real.
Yeah.
And then Toronto, who's been playing great hoops. Oh shoot, I gotta get my. Oh no, I got enough battery for now. I'll get my charger in a little bit. Toronto, who's good, and Boston, who also has a very good defense this year, and just defeated the historically great Detroit Pistons. So clearly they're a force to be reckoned with. And I think the Knicks, they're still getting the hang of this offense. They've done really well with certain portions of it. Curling around, getting paint touches, generating corner threes, leading the league in corner threes. A lot of quick passing, high assist games. We've talked about that. There's still some parts of the offense that I think Mike Brown is not only trying to install, right? Like I think, I don't know if it was James Edwards or Bondi or someone who wrote about now. You don't even know what I'm gonna say.
It's just funny guy. So
funny guys, funny group of guys we got covering the team. And someone wrote about it, but like Mike Brown is calling some plays now, right? Which he wasn't for the first 10, 15 games.
Well, just to like expand on that really quick. If you like I when I rewatched the Charlotte game, I think what the biggest thing that stood out to me is that second half, there was like a lot less of the flowing, like we're gonna play to our principles offense, and there was a shit ton of just like we're kind of gonna spread the floor out here and just let Brunson go to work. There was a lot of that in that second half, and I'm fine with that. Like there's a time and place for all these things,
Yes.
and like it's actually important to use. Like this is kind of what I was hinting at earlier, not hinting at, but basically saying at the start of the season is like
you're not using all your tools from day one,
and not just that. I think like there's been a lot of conversation, right, about Cat's struggling. Is he struggling to fit in the offense? And this guy's and it's like maybe that is true. Maybe Cat, some of his shooting issues or whatever are because he's not comfortable in the offense and he's overthinking things and blah blah blah. Okay, that might be true. I don't see that when I'm watching it, but let's just say that's true. The reason why I don't actually give a fuck, which, on top of what we talked about last week, where it's like Cat just existing on the floor makes everything better offensively. The reason why I don't give a shit about that or didn't give a shit about that to start the year is that's necessary. Like if your goal is this is kind of the overall infrastructure I want to have in place, then you can't overreact, especially early in the season, if a couple of players are struggling, right? Cat, Josh Hart, Yabusele, whoever the fuck it is, if they're struggling to kind of figure out what their reads are, what their responsibilities are, what they're supposed to be doing, you can't overreact to that. That's part of them learning, right? But once you feel comfortable that, okay, the team in general here, they have bought in, They understand what we're trying to do on a possession-to-possession basis. They can flow into things and operate out of our general infrastructure and within the framework of what our principles are. Once you have that in place, then you can start doing shit like actually on these 6 possessions in a row, we are not actually running anything, and we're just going to have Jalen Brunson ISO at the top of the key, and like that is how you kind of start building stuff out and layering things in, and like we're seeing more design post ups for Cat too. That's like absolutely something that we're seeing more of in these last couple of games. Now, some of that might be dictated by the mismatch or by the matchup, because neither Brooklyn or Charlotte, even though like I like Diabate and I like Kalkbrenner, these guys are not actual like they're not going to be capable of checking Cat in the post. But this is how you slowly start layering those things in, where it's like, hey, look, we're not going to use our individual talent advantages, right? That's not the goal. But the goal initially might be we're not using that because it's more important to get the collective stuff in. And then once I'm happy with everything, once I think everybody's bought in and shit, then yeah, I will do a lot of just like, yeah, we're good. Just post Cat here. Just let Brunson cook here. Like that's fine. That's exactly how it should be. And the difference is hopefully right. What you're hoping the difference is that whereas it felt like especially last season with Tibbs, the entire kind of like your flow of your offense was dictated by how those individual matchups went. So if Brunson had a matchup that he was going good in and the defense was kind of immediately overreacting or, having to react when he got a step or whatever, then, he could pitch it out and then they could flow out of that. But there was never any flow in and of itself that came without the individual kind of ability to draw two to the ball, right? That was kind of how everything, if there was flow within the offense, it flowed from the individual creating it. Whereas I think there's a difference where with Brown, and it's not perfect. You can definitely see times where they're kind of struggling to execute and figure stuff out. But the idea is we can flow because we're running as a 5-man lineup and we have multiple read and reacts and guys know if they defend things this way, you do this. If they defend it that way, you do that. And that's just a complete. It's like the opposite way of attacking the problem. And I think it's a better way, or at least a more necessary way, if your goal is ultimately to, get through 4 rounds of the playoffs and win a championship. Because I just think the what we were doing last year with Tibbs, while effective because you have great talent, it's also just a lot to ask of your best guys to sustain that for 4 rounds in the playoffs against the type of team, and not just the teams, but like the level of scheming and stuff where coaches are throwing so much at you and you have to make so many decisions on the fly. That's just a lot of pressure. So little definitely tangent from what you were trying to say, but I thought that was very, very interesting in the Charlotte game and the Brooklyn game a little bit more too, where it was like, yeah, actually we have these awesome players. Let's just tap into that right now. Let's just tap into that today.
Yeah, no, that relates to what I was getting into, which is that's definitely the most like play calls, yes, but also just included among play calls is just boring, like give your best players the ball kind of plays that we haven't done as much of, right? Spam this mismatch 5 times in a row. That's important, and that's definitely a big step forward in like the players realizing how to take advantage of this offense, right? Especially for Brunson as a point guard, figuring out when to do his on ball, off ball, flowy offense thing, and when to be like, nope, it's just barbecue chicken time for me or for Cat, and for non Brunson units, especially for Cat. The other
Con Knipple, seeing Con Knipple is apparently that's a indicator for Brunson to go.
Knipple having a hell of a season, but I know these guys see him and they're like, this dude look like he's 14. It's barbecue chicken time. So there's definitely going to be a lot more of that moving forward. But on a micro level, I've also noticed there's elements of the flowy offense that these guys are that some players everybody. What's the best way to put this? Everybody within the offense, given their skills, has like what I think of as a certain decision tree. Like when they get the ball from these handoffs, different players have different skills, so they like to do different things, right? Brunson's decision tree is like a whole forest of things because he's that skilled. For McCall, for example, he gets the ball on a curl. If he doesn't shoot it at the 3-point line and he drives, he tends to be like, all right, he still can't turn a corner very fast. So it's like, can I go, and then use my length to get all the way to the rim? He doesn't pick that option very much, right? A lot of the times it's just, I can pull up for a midi, or I can set up a fadeaway or like a fading midi, or I can kick it out. So his decision tree is pretty small, but very effective. And, you're seeing guys like Jordan Clarkson also realize, all right, I'm what he does that I really like a lot, and I think you're actually seeing more players on the team do this, and I wanted to call it out, is Jordan Clarkson is not as fast as he used to be. He's what, 33, 34 or something like that. But what he does to help turn the corner and get deeper into the paint, because he's not as fast, is he'll
Catches it
get
on the move.
well, he catches it on the move. And that's one way to do that. But he'll also throw the ball ahead. So like it's easier to turn the corner if you kind of just if you put the ball deeper into the paint and then you just go after it rather than keeping the ball with you. And
I'm not gonna lie. He challenges my boomer
he's
instincts
good. He's good for you. He's good for you.
because he also, while he does that, and I think like you're right, that's actually like a very astute, smart thing he does. He also oftentimes when he does that commits some of the most egregious carries you'll ever see in your life, and I'm just like,
listen, you
I guess
gotta.
that's
I
yeah,
want
I
to see
guess
the Knicks carrying. I want to see the Knicks taking 4 steps. I've been saying this since
I
RJ Barrett
yeah
was on the Knicks, bro. I want my Knicks to
I'm
travel.
yeah, I'm like, you know what? I guess if this benefits me, it's good, right? That's how capitalism works.
That's
So,
how. Yeah, it's
um,
2025. Get with the fucking plan, Shwin.
vulture capitalism in basketball. We're here, and I've embraced it.
Yeah, this is what Magic Mike's offense is all about, baby. just, just, just hedge fund style. Just take advantage of every loophole you can find. And no, so like he does that, but I noticed uh, Bridges start to do that in these last 2 games. A
Yeah, but
couple
he
of
does it
times
like a Republican.
yeah, but hey, look, man. Like I said, whatever gets it done in 2025, because he like with them long ass arms, like if he just puts the ball ahead, like that's like 5 feet ahead, dude. Like with the way he just is so gangly. And there was one other Nick who was doing that, and I
Not
can't.
Deuce. Definitely not Deuce.
Deuce does it, but then he doesn't really like he doesn't change his game plan. His game plan remains like a midi or a kick out, and it is what it is. But
Deuce is pretty funny. His like handle has come a long way actually, but he doesn't get any credit for it because, and I understand why, because he still can't like leverage it to do anything in the paint. So
no, it's all strictly outside the paint work. It's like a very one-on-one basketball bag of handle, which is real hooper shit, and I can respect it. Don't settle for easy layups. Give a hard
he
jump shot.
was, I gotta say, that's the most locked in I think I've seen him shooting in a long time. I don't think he hit the fucking
Yeah, it
rim
was
on a single
crazy,
three.
bro. His shits were going mad high, just all
Yeah,
net, just tear the rim.
you you know how like when people clip like Teg, right? He does like all the
Yeah,
individual highlight stuff after each game, and sometimes like the formatting is such that it doesn't capture the full screen.
right.
But like on Deuce's ones, like I think there were like 3 of his threes where you like actually couldn't see the ball at all once it left his hands, and then it was just like a second later, just like. I'm like,
You're
oh.
right. It was crazy. He was definitely locked in. And so like and for Deuce, like I said, like his place in the offense remains pretty the same. Like he actually has a lot of freedom to shoot difficult pull up jumpers. But anyway, like I think um the getting a little bit deeper into the paint for the non point guards, because Brunson and Clarkson, and when he plays Kolek, they all naturally have shown the ability to do that without, like, it doesn't matter about Mike Brown's offense, right? Like they can just do that. But everybody else has different ways of doing it. And previously, even Cat, he really only I haven't tallied it up, but if I have time, I want to see. But like in early in the season, he almost always had the same way to get to the paint, which was just fake and then drive left and then kind of fade out of the paint. And I think in the last couple of games, you've seen him go right a lot more. You've seen him Euro step a lot more. So I don't know if it's intentional or if it's just a mixture of learning from the Orlando game and bad competition versus Brooklyn and Charlotte, but you're seeing the players figure out how they can better use Mike Brown's offense to get into the paint. And the Knicks were already
So
among the top 10 driving teams in the league. But if this continues, I expect that number to go up. And the last thing I wanted to mention about the offense and them getting used to it, which relates to that, is like if you're doing that, it kind of necessitates being a little bit more physical, right? Like if for Cat, that means you're gonna bump into people rather than just try to draw the foul and fade to the left and fall over. If you're Mikal Bridges, it means sometimes you're gonna bump into somebody. You can't just like fade and not touch anybody. It's something that is kind of interesting to watch. And then it means also, if you're not the ball handler but setting the picks or doing the handoff, it means you want to set a harder screen. And I've seen some of the guys set a lot harder screens than I'm used to seeing. Part of this is Deuce getting more tick, right? We've talked incessantly for years now about how he's the best, like pound for pound screener on the team, probably. Bridges had a screen in the Charlotte game that knocked somebody over. I forget who it was, but like he legit like destroyed somebody. And so you're seeing more, it's physicality, but not in like the fucking black Air Force One football hack type way that you think about when you think about like physical offenses in the NBA. And then the last thing, I'll end where you started, which is Josh Hart. You know, we've talked about Josh Hart shooting the ball well over the last few games. He talked about working with the shooting coach on some tweaks. I can't tell what it was other than like he tends, at least lately, to be like straight as opposed to like tilted left or right. Which good for you, dude. You generally want to be straight when you shoot the ball, so it goes straight. So keep doing that. But Josh also like one of my pet peeves with him that peaked during the playoffs last year was he just stopped fucking getting into the paint. In the playoffs, the entire playoffs last year, he averaged almost 3.5 drives per game. That includes transition. That is a far cry from when he was at the peak of his powers, in the first half of the year or the year before that. And this is a guy who, like, he's nobody's like, oh my God, Josh Hart blow by ability, but he should be able to get into the paint and pass and score and do things in the transition and in the half court, right? Like in the first half of last season, all we talked about was like he was the best finisher, under 6'6" or whatever for like half the year. And then that part of his game just evaporated, in addition to his shooting, of course.